your benefits are value-added options. So benefits are worth money, usually because the employer is paying money for them, that the employers choose to supply to employees. There is no current law that says an employer has to provide benefits. And they are considered to be kind of like additional compensation, and the additional compensation is whatever the value of the benefit is. So if your employer pays $1,000 a month for your insurance, then that's considered to be sort of like an additional $1,000 that you're making, because you don't have to pay that out of pocket to buy your own insurance.
It doesn't come out of your check?
Well, sometimes, well, we're going to talk about insurance here. So insurance includes health, life, dental, disability, short and long term, vision, and the benefits are provided by some employers, and the amount paid by the employee can vary. So they might do like an 80-20, the employer pays 80, you pay 20. Some places they'll pay for all of the individual employees' insurance, like the whole amount, but then if you have other people on your insurance, like family members, you have to pay for them. So it just, that kind of depends on the arrangement that the employer decided. And then, yes, it does come out of your check. So if you're on an 80-20, they pay 80% of it, and then 20% of it gets split out of your checks. Paid vacation time are days off with pay. Not everybody gets this, and usually you don't get them right away. Like the day you start your job, you don't suddenly have paid vacation. It's usually after a period of time, like either after a probationary period or after you've been there for a year, then you've earned some vacation, or 6 months. But usually they don't hire somebody new and then suddenly they have like a week of paid vacation. So you like start yesterday and you're, okay, well, I'm going to take vacation now. You know, it doesn't really work that way. Paid holiday time is if you are, usually this is how it works. If you're scheduled to work that day on your normal work week, so the holiday falls on a Wednesday, but then you have the day off because it's a holiday, they'll pay you anyway. If the holiday happens to fall on a Sunday and you don't work on Sunday, they're not going to pay you for it. So usually you only get paid holiday time if the holiday happens to fall on a day that you would normally be at work. And then sometimes you don't get paid time off on holiday, but you might get holiday overtime. You know, so they might pay you double time or something because it's a holiday. Retirement plans, the employer contributes to the retirement plan for the employee. This can be an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, pension, or a 401k. An IRA is kind of more like a savings account, and a 401k is a stock account. But there are other types of retirement accounts as well. These are just the most common. The pension is that thing I was telling you about the other day, where you get the check for life till you die kind of thing, based off of your income and things. With the IRA and the 401k, whatever money is in there is what money you got. And then some employers offer stock ownership plans where they give you shares of stock in the company that you work for. So let's say you work for, I don't know, AT&T or something. You could be on a stock options plan. It's called stock options. And that's where if it's going into your retirement plan, usually what will happen is they'll say, okay, well, out of every paycheck, we'll put $100 into your retirement plan. Or we'll give you $150 worth of stock. Usually the stock option is a little higher than the cash option. Or sometimes they give stock shares as like a bonus structure, like you meet your goals or whatever, and so they're like, oh, you did great, here you go, have some stock. So that's another benefit. That, of course, this only works with corporations that are publicly traded. Well, that's not true, I guess. There are some privately traded corporations that maybe would give their employees stock options, but I'm not really sure about that. I mean, it's a possibility. I just don't know of any that do it off the top of my head. Okay, so child care leave. That is time off without penalties. To care for a child, sometimes that's with pay, sometimes it's not. Most commonly known child care leave is maternity leave. That's when you go, you have your baby, you can't exactly go today, have your baby, and then go back to work tomorrow. Doesn't really work that way, and so you get maternity leave. Some employers provide paid maternity leave, some do not. There is a federal law, though, called the Family Medical Leave Act. Yeah, FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. If you have an immediate family member, your parent, your spouse, your child, and they are, or yourself, and you have like a medical situation, for example, you gave birth, or your kid ends up in the hospital, or your mom falls and breaks her hip, or your spouse, the federal government stipulates that you are entitled to a certain length of time, that you are allowed to be out of work, and you are protected under the Family Medical Leave Act. They cannot fire you if you need to take medical leave for your family. Now, the length of time, I want to say, is like a 12 weeks, and then you can file for an extension, but you do have to fill out paperwork to be protected with your employer, but that is a guaranteed. You're allowed to miss work because your kid is sick. They can't fire you because your child fell from a tree and needs to be in the hospital or something. Family health care versus individual health care. Family health care is when the employer provides health benefits or a portion of the cost to the employee as well as family members. And then individual health care is when the employer provides health benefits for the employee only. Okay. Pension, I call this the magical retirement plan. They were more common 30, 40 years ago than they are today. They're provided by some employers, most government jobs. I would say all government jobs, but I'm not 100% on that. But I would say 99% of government jobs provide a pension. Some of the union protected jobs, like the bigger unions, have maintained pensions. And you get a set amount of money monthly from the day you retire until the day you die. And that's why it's the magical retirement plan. Other retirement plans, whatever you have in that account is how much you got. Spread it out. With the pension, you have a monthly amount. And it's, if you live 10 years from the time you retire, that's how much money you get. If you live 30 years from the time you retire, that's how much money you get. So, magical. Unemployment insurance is required to be carried by certain employers. And if I'm not mistaken, there are exemptions for really small businesses, but I don't know the numbers. I know there are different, like if you have 0 to 25 employees or, things like that. And I want to say that if you're under like 10 maybe, I don't know the numbers though, you may not be required to carry this. So certain small businesses don't have to pay for this. Same thing with workers' comp. And it's, like if you own a family business and the only people that work there are your family members, like you don't have to cover them, kind of thing. So the unemployment insurance covers you if you lose your job and it's not your fault. It does not cover you if you quit your job. It does not cover you if you're fired for a legitimate reason. Okay, but if you're laid off, if the company shuts down, if you are fired and it's not for a legitimate reason, you can get unemployment insurance, and you get a percentage of you don't get your full pay. And the pay is based off of a base period, which is a period of time that is used to calculate your unemployment benefits, and it varies by state. Some states use a whole year, some states use like 3 months. And then they do some calculations, and then they say, here you go, here's considerably less than you used to make. Good luck, live on that. It's a lot less. And then every state has a maximum, too. So, I have no idea what Florida's monthly maximum was, but when I left California, the monthly maximum on unemployment insurance was $1,800. So if you made $20 million a year, you were still only going to get $1,800 a month. Like that was the most you could get. And then workman's comp is required to be carried by most employers. Again, certain people might be able to be exempted from this. It costs money. So if you're like a really small business with like one employee or family employees, you might be exempt. And this protects the employees, so it covers the medical if you're injured on the job. Now, not every injury is covered under workman's comp. For example, if you are a typist, data entry clerk, or a secretary or something, and you develop carpal tunnel syndrome, workman's comp does not cover that. That's not considered. This is for like, I fell down the stairs, or I was working on the construction site and a steel beam hit me in the head. Hot coffee on you. Yeah, I actually had a workman's comp claim when I was working at a veterinary's office and a possum bit through my hand. So, so it's it's like the accidentally kind of injuries, not long-term nature of your job kind of injuries. Construction people tend to have painful backs, but the workman's comp does not cover that. Works for the printing company, and he's been there for 4 years, and he makes $54,080 a year. When he was hired, he was told that he had 5 days of paid vacation time. For each year he has worked for the company, he gains another 2 days, up to a maximum of 20. How many paid vacation days does he now get at the end of 4 years? And how much money will he make during the time he's on vacation? All right, well, he started with 5. Right? And he's gone up $2 or 2 days each year, and 4 years he's been there. But we're not multiplying by 4. He's been there for 4 years, but that means he was there for like a whole year before he got the 2 days. So that first year we don't count. So we count the 3 following. Does that make sense? So he's going to have 11 days. Does that make sense? Sort of like when a child is like a year old, they've been on the planet for a whole year. So he hit that first year mark. We count.
And now you're starting to count.
Yeah. So he's got 11 days. He's making $54.80 per year. Yeah.
So it would go 1 year, you get 2 days. 1 year, you get
2 days, and then yeah. So at the end of the first year, he got 2 days, and then at the end of the second year.
And the third year, end of the fourth year.
Oh yeah, you're right. I was thinking about that totally wrong. Happens. You're right. He's been there a little over 4 years, not just making it to 4 years. Yeah. Okay, 13 days. Happens. Okay, so he's making $54.80 per year. We want to figure out how much is his income on these 13 days. Like, how much is he making to sit at home? So there's 2 ways we can go about this. We can either figure out what part of a year 13 days is and then multiply that times his income. So we can do 13 over 365 times his income, like that. Or we can take his income, we can divide it by 365, and then multiply it by 13 days. Which would you rather do?
The second.
Okay. So I'm going to do 5480 divided by 365 gives me 148.16 times 13 days. So those 13 days that he gets to sit at home drinking Kool-Aid by the pool, He's going to make $1,926.14. Okay. So Frida's employer offers her family health care, so she can cover her family. She has to contribute 12% of the cost, and then her employer covers the rest. Okay, so she gets paid on a biweekly basis, and $88.50 is taken out of each paycheck. All right, so 12% is equal to $88.50 biweekly so far. All right, so how much are they paying for her coverage?
88%.
Yeah, actually. I was going to do 0.12 times some amount is equal to 88.50. Like that. And I was going to divide it by 0.12. But you could go that way too. Oops. Okay, this is the total though. That's the total. Because it's 0.12% of the total is 88.50, so this is how much the total is every 2 weeks. But she pays 88.50 of it.
Wow.
So you take that away. So they're paying $649 biweekly. And if you wanted to look at annually, there's 26 biweekly pay periods. So her employer is paying $16,874 in health insurance benefits for her. That's kind of why this is considered to be additional compensation. That's $16,000, almost $17,000 that you don't have to pay. It's almost like a salary, yeah. And psychological pension. A retiring employee will receive 1.5% of their average salary for the last 5 years for every year they worked. Okay, so what you get is you get 1.5 times the years worked. And that is the percent of salary. Because it's 1.5% for every single year that you worked for that company. And then that gets multiplied times the average salary. So she is going to retire after 25 years of employment. So she's going to get 37.5% of her salary, of her average salary. Okay. Her salaries for the last 5 years are the 88, 9, 92, etc. So we're going to add those together. And divide them by 5. Just do it that way. So well, I wasn't that far yet.
Divided by 5?
Yeah, but then divide it by 5. And it's going to be 98,420. And then you're going to multiply that times 0.375, because that's the percentage she's going to get. So she's going to get $35,782 per year.
Can you explain to me why you multiply the 1.5 times
because she's getting, right here, where it says 1.5% for every year worked. So the longer you work at a company, the bigger your percentage is on your pension. Most of them do that. Most pensions do work out that way. The percent here might be different. It could be 2%, it could, whatever the percent, I don't know what that'll be, it depends on the company, but it's based on how many years you work. So if you retire after 5 years, you don't get as much money as if you retire after 40 years.
So this is the formula, 1.5 times years?
Well, not necessarily for this specific one. So you do the 1.5, it's 1.5 per year. So you multiply 1.5 times the number of years, and that gives you the percentage that you'll get. Does that make sense?
Trying to figure out a way to ask.
In Reese's state is 60% of the 26-week average for the highest 2 salaried quarters. Yes, it is this confusing. Okay, 52 weeks in a year, right? 52 divided by 4 is 13. So each quarter is 13 weeks. Okay. Now they're taking the 26-week average, so 2 quarters. Of the 2 highest quarters of the last year. So the quarters are January, February, March. That's quarter 1. And then April, May, June, quarter 2. July, August, September is quarter 3. And then October, November, and December are the 4th quarter. You break it into 3s, right? So July, August, and September, and October, November, and December are his 2 highest quarters. This is how much he earned in each of those quarters. I'm going to add them together. But it is a 26-week average. So I'm not dividing by 2. This is the total that he made in the first 13 weeks that we're using. This is the total he made in the second 13 weeks that we're using. So we're going to take this and we're going to divide it by 26 to find his 26-week average.
That's not a really great paying job if that's 13 weeks of pay. Well, it's almost $10,000, so that.
It's still not really fantastic. Well, actually, it's not too bad. It's $724 a week. Okay, so $724 a week. Yeah. And then they get 60% of this.
Right.
So 724 times 0.6. So that's his unemployment compensation. Okay. So he'll get $434.40 per week. The way unemployment works, you have 2 amounts. You have 2 numbers. You have your weekly amount or monthly amount, and then you have your total. And that's for a year. If your total amount for the whole year is $10,000 or $20,000 or something, I don't know, whatever it is, and then your weekly or monthly amount is such that, like, you go 5 or 6 months and you've hit your total amount, even though this is the total amount for the whole year, but if you hit it before the year is up, you are out of unemployment compensation. This is a cap. So if Let's say it was $20,000 for the year. And let's say your monthly, you're getting $18,000 or $1,800 a month. If you take that $1,800 a month, you're going to run out at the 11th month. So you'll have a whole month that you don't have money. If it was less than, or if it was more, if it was, $2,000 a month, you'd only have unemployment compensation for 10 months. So, I don't know what the caps are. It varies by state, again. And so does the maximum amount you're going to get per month or week. But you need to know, if you ever do go on unemployment, you need to be aware of this number. Because if you hit this number before you found another job, you might be in trouble. Yeah. So you'd want to make sure you knew how long you'd have, because you could either, finding a job, you're either going to find one or not, but you could maybe plan to try to extend the money, so putting things aside for it, plan better. So just be aware of it. A lot of people are not aware of the max.
So that's the max of unemployment you can receive, is that what you're saying?
For the year, yeah. Now, okay, Wanda lives in the same state as Reese, and her weekly unemployment compensation is $360. And we want to know, what are the total 26-week earnings? Well, we're going to go backwards, right?
Right.
With him, we did like average, and then we divided it by 26, and that gave the money. So here we're going to go backwards. So we have the money. We're going to multiply by 26, which will give us the average. Okay, so we're going to take that 360, and we're going to multiply it by 26. And that's going to give us 9360. And this is her, yeah. That's her average. Wait.
Not to stop you if you're on the right track.
I'm on the right track. I just realized what I did. I forgot the percentage.
Yeah, you did times.
Yeah, I forgot the percentage. Sorry, we did we took this and we divided it by 26, and then we did times 0.60, remember?
Right.
And then that gave us the money. So we had to go the other way. So we had to take 360 and divide it by 0.6. So we're going completely backwards, which is 600. And then we take 600 and multiply that by 26. Because before we multiplied by 0.6 because we found his his total. Then we divided by 26 to find the average, and then we multiplied that by 0.6 to find how much he gets. So we're going like completely backwards. So we divide by 0.6, and then we multiply by 26.
Right.
Does that make sense? We're like taking the same trip backwards. So divide by 0.6 and then multiply by 26. So her earnings for those 26 weeks were $15,600. And then Laura lives in the same state, and she made the same weekly salary. For each of the 26. Okay, so she's on a salary. Okay, so she makes the same amount each week. Okay, and she gets unemployment for $570. So we're going to do the same process, except not quite. Here's what will happen. If we divide by 0.6, okay, we get 950. Now I want to know what her weekly salary is for the 26 weeks. So following the same process, I'd then multiply that by 26, and I'd find out how much she made in the whole 26 weeks. And then to find out how much it was weekly, what would I do?
What do you say?
if I followed this process, I'd multiply 950 times 26, which would give me the total she made for the whole 26 weeks.
Right.
But then if I wanted to find out how much she made each week from there, I would then divide by 26.
Right.
Is there really any point to multiply by 26 and then divide by 26? No. So on this one, because she's making the salary that's the same every week, we can stop right here. She made $9.50 a week. We don't have to find out how much she made over the total of the 26 weeks and then divide it by 26 again to get back to $9.50, right? We don't have to, we can stop. But that's only because she's on salary. If she did not make the same amount each week, we wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, homework tonight.